Hi everyone, this is Nadia, Jake, Babu, Sedona, and Buddy, and today we're going to talk about Kung Fu Panda 4. It just came out this week, and we just saw it last night. So yeah, what did you think?
I thought it was very mid.
Very mid. Explain that.
I'm not super familiar with Kung Fu Panda. I've seen the original one years ago, and I haven't seen the other ones. We just saw this was in theaters. We're like, hey, let's see it. I thought it was fine. It did feel very much like more of a kid's movie. I was very bored through like most of the movie until there's a twist later in the movie when I got sort of interested, but it was very predictable most of the movie, just kind of like hitting the beats. And I don't know if this is a trend that I'm just noticing now because I'm getting older or because it's actually happening, but I feel like there's this kind of like frenetic nonstop pace in animated movies or kids aimed more at families and kids. It's almost like this TikTok pace where it's like there can never be like a moment of silence or stillness. It's just like constant activity and stuff. I don't know if that's just me or if it's just the way things are changing because of the digital landscape and kids are more on their iPads and they're watching TikTok, so they expect more. When I'm watching this movie, I just kept thinking like all the scenes, all the action scenes, just so much always that I just kind of started zoning out a little bit. I would put it on the same level as like the Super Mario movie. That was just kind of like, actually that was more fun to me, but I think part of the novelty was just seeing those characters on screen. But in terms of like the kind of stakes, in terms of the emotional investment, it was just your run-of-the-mill, animated kids movie.
Oh, wow. You and I are very different movie watchers than a lot of times because I actually love the fast-paced. I love the action-oriented things. I did not get bored. All I did was get hungry because Poe loves food. And there's a lot of like images of food. I definitely ate way too much after this film and wanted to order like a lot of popcorn during this film. I would say that would be the big con, or not even a con. It was actually very delicious. But I really like this film. I did not expect to go in there and have like its big thing, or I had a very like low mid, like I just was like, this is a fun movie. Let's just watch something fun that's not supposed to be like anything too big. Yeah, it's definitely more kids oriented, I think, because a lot of jokes and everything I could tell, like, someone who's like younger would love that. I would have loved that as a kid. I thought it was really fun. I would give it a solid probably 7 out of 10, maybe 6.5 out of 10. I really like that fact that, they introduced the Fox character. I also like that there's, without getting into spoilers, characters from the earlier films that show up in this one. So I think it's well-rounded in that way. I thought it was like a good time, just good time with silly humor. So if you have expectations where you're not like expecting anything too grand, I think this will be entertaining for you. I do recommend it. I would say if you're someone like Jake who, it's like, that really bothers you when there's some moment of silence or reflection, a true reflection in a film, then maybe it's not going to be something you completely enjoy. But for me, I don't mind the action oriented. I don't mind like the fact that they keep going on and on. I really like the introduction of the fox. There is a little twist in the near end of the film. I thought as far as animation goes, I thought it was well done. It felt more Disney like animation wise, the stylistic choices, but it is DreamWorks film, and I do like DreamWorks as well, so I thought it was well done there. And
the more I think about it, the less I like it. I actually might lower my rating. It was just incredibly
What is your rating?
Annoying. I'd give it like a 3 or 4.
Okay, so why would you lower it the more you reflect on it?
Because it just was like in one ear and out the other. But now that I have to like really think about what was happening in it, like there's just the story. It was so just like elemental and simple, but not in a fun way. And I snorted at maybe a couple jokes, but it was very, very basic. And I think that even kids, I think kids would enjoy it. But besides that, I don't think there's much to really love about it unless you're attached to these characters, which again, I'm not. I'm coming in from someone, so there's like a history. They bring back other characters and stuff. But for me, I'm just like, all right, boring B plot. And then the A plot was very predictable, except for one twist, except that came in way later in the movie. The whole time I was just going, how much longer is this? How much longer is this? How much longer is this? I really
Was it because you were hungry, or was it because of the actual film?
I was hungry, but that I can sit through a good movie if I'm hungry.
Jake did comment on my ear like a couple times while we were watching and be like, I am so hungry. God, that looks so good.
I did. I mean,
it was definitely a thought.
The dumplings looked really good. I mean, animated food always looks better than real food, I think.
It does. Isn't that weird? Sometimes. Yeah. I don't know. Is that just us?
Anyways, I think that the character Poe is like a pretty good character, but he has to be paired with someone who's like really like a good foil to him because he's just such a good, like fun-loving character. And I thought that kind of came in the third act, but most of the movie was just very bland. His like partner in the movie on this adventure is a fox that's voiced by Awkwafina, which first off, Awkwafina's agent. How is she getting all these all these voice acting parts? I feel like she's in every animated or movie that needs like the quirky, she has a very distinct voice, which, I don't mind Awkwafina's performance, but of course Awkwafina as the kind of like morally dubious side character that has to learn a lesson, and then the whole arc of Poe's character was very predictable. When it was delivered, it was very ham-handed and kind of forced. Also, just like the stakes, I think, for Poe as a character weren't super high, Well, we can get into that into spoilers. Shall we get into spoilers?
Yeah, let's get into spoilers where we can talk a little bit more about the plot. So, 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1, spoilers.
The theme of the movie is pretty simple. Poe, the dragon warrior, he has been a dragon warrior for a while now, taking up a little bit of the hero swag. It's time for him to become more of the teacher rather than more
of the spiritual leader. He needs to find a successor for the dragon warrior.
Exactly, but he doesn't want to give it up. And then, eventually he meets Fox, who's turns out she's not a great person, animal. So, she ends up like backstabbing Poe a little bit towards the end, but then she ends up becoming the one that Poe chooses as the next dragon warrior and wanting to train her. I thought like it was pretty obvious that the fox was going to be the animal that Poe chooses. Yeah. However, I didn't expect that she was going to betray him, where, she literally works for the villain of the story, but she does come around pretty quickly, which I was like, this is really quick turnaround from her. However, I would also can see myself as a kid not caring about that. And so I have to think about who this movie is probably targeting, the demographic it's targeting, and I do think it makes sense with what they're going towards. My preference would be that it would be a little bit more for journey for her to come back and get to the conclusion that she actually wants to be Poe's friend and she wants to leave her old life behind, rather than almost felt like within a click of a button that she just changes things. And yeah, there wasn't much retrospective thoughts there, I would say. But I also really enjoyed Poe's dad's there. I thought it was really interesting. I like how the panda dad is pretending to be Poe and really fails at it. I thought those things were fun.
I thought their whole story was really boring, to be honest. As a B story, there was a lot of time spent on the parents just trying to find him, and it was just
I do think that they could have made it without that plot line. I do understand why it's there. They end up helping Poe out, and it's kind of like a full circle moment. However, I do think that their journey was a little bit of a drag. But again, I always think about demographic and try to give it a benefit of the doubt because of that. Because if I'm aiming at a certain audience, I also, without being that audience that I'm targeted, I could see myself not caring about that or enjoying it. Because when you're looking at it and you're kind of like a kid and you have parents who are like, well, I want them to trust me to be able to do something that I want to do, but I also want to lean on them for a safety net. I do think that the dads being there does provide that safety net at the same time. Okay, well, they let you go, but they can't let you go all the way because they care about you and they love you, and kind of that protection that and sentimentality that, the two dads being there provides. I do understand the need for them.
Well, here's the thing. I just kept thinking about Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Okay.
And I feel like there are some similarities in that. First, they're sequels to series that have been around for a while. There's like a quest, and the main character has to partner with someone who is like morally questionable, and they're not really sure if they can trust them. Betrayals, etc. I just felt like Puss in Boots was worlds beyond in terms of entertaining, in terms of like themes. This one just felt very kind of low stakes in that our villain is just like, I want to take over the world.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? Well, they just want to take over the world. The only interesting stuff was with the fox, Aquafina's character. But the thing is, we didn't know. Like, if we had known that she was actually sent by the chameleon earlier in the movie, we'd be going, oh, we could see her character journey. Like, oh, she's actually getting close to Poe. Instead, it was a twist. I feel like if we had just known that she was a double agent from the beginning, then it would have been a lot more interesting.
I do think that they did that because they wanted an element of surprise there. And they do have flashbacks about, her and why she is the way she is. And I thought those flashbacks was well done. And if you rewatch it, I think like there are hints placed that she is a double agent, especially when she meets like the underground people and the lack of connection that she has with the leader in the underground, like, circle of thieves. We kind of assume, or the movie really like misleads you into thinking that the underground leader is actually her mentor, when it turns out that, the chameleon is. I mean, I understand why they did that. I do think that the chameleon is a little bit more basic of a character and is very like cheesy of a character. I wouldn't mind that if I was a kid, to be honest with you. I do mind that as an adult. It's kind of like boring in that way.
There's just not enough going in the story of the movie and the meat of the movie that it just felt like they were relying on these fun action scenes. All right, just focus on the action, focus on the, the funny action scenes, and then we'll just be done with the movie. Did feel like they were just kind of like rushing to get to the end. And then when there were the emotional beats, they were very, let me spell this out specifically what this means. And there were points when I was just felt like I could hear the writers speaking through the characters, like, this is what the message is. This is what we're trying to say. This is how this character connects to Poe's other story and what he needs to grow. And I'm like, all right, once you're explaining that, like specifically, I feel like you've lost a little bit of something.
Yeah, I do. I did notice that too. And I do wonder about that. It's kind of hard. If you have kids and you're watching this, let us know what your kids thought, because I feel like it's kind of like, again, the demographic. I think it's hard. Like, as an audience myself, I do feel like they were treating us like we were stupid. But then maybe for like a younger crowd, this is something that you're supposed to do. I don't know. Not having kids myself, and not having kids, I feel like it is harder to judge that. However, Puss in Boots, I do feel like a lot of adults watch Shrek. I don't know what the audience demographic is for Kung Fu Panda, because this is the fourth one. I do think that there isn't much of a science. It's just very like A to A and B, that's what we're getting to. And this is exactly how we're going to get there. It is very spelled out for you. And I don't think there is really going to be a lot of like character growth in a big sense. The big growth is that Poe didn't want to let go of his position. He ended up letting go of his position, and the fox helped him do that, and that is a big journey if you think about it from what I'm saying.
No,
but
it's not. It's such a small journey.
No. I think it is, because it's like if you're like you change positions you change your role in your career, basically, that you don't want to do, and you come to learn that you're actually good at it. However, like it felt like everything was earned from the start. With maybe the exception of the fox's character. I think like there wasn't a journey there that really made them earn their destination. It was kind of like given to them.
Yeah, and this is part of the whole problem with multiple sequels. Poe's,
and I think that's why it's like
Poe's character, what made him interesting was from the first movie, having to prove himself. Now he's proven himself all these movies later. Now we're dealing with, won't it be hard for you to have a promotion to a better job? Like that's his character issue.
But he doesn't want
a promotion, and he has to let go of that. And there's got to be a little bit more there for it to sustain 90 minutes of movie,
I don't know. Like I said, I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I also found it fun. I didn't really like focus on those aspects.
It was fun. There were fun moments, but it just wasn't enough for like an adult viewer, I think, to give a shit the whole time.
Yeah, I think you have some point, but at the same time, I really liked it. I enjoyed it. And I do wonder what you think. And if you have kids, let us know what your kids thought of this film. Do you kind of like? Did you watch it because of your kids? Do you watch it for yourself? Let us know your thoughts.
Yep, let us know. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.